no way we're done already.
I think we are. Because that's airport, central, something, and...
Yeah, I think we're pretty much done. We're in Mexico. That was literally the easiest thing in the world. Literally the easiest.
Hey guys, I'm Taylor, and this is Kevin. If you're new here, welcome to our channel. Over the last 6 months, Kevin and I have traveled from the East Coast to the West, visiting the warm, sunny coastlines to the snow-covered mountains. Now it's time for a new adventure. Join us as we head south to Mexico to explore Baja, California. Subscribe and we'll see you every Tuesday. Good morning, friends. Today is the day that we have been anxiously awaiting for the past 2 days. Me more anxiously than Kevin.
We are going to Baja, California, and we are about to cross the border. We are in Chula Vista right now, and we're just making sure we got everything prepared, our documents in order, and the van all ready to go before we cross the border. We are going through El Chaparro, I believe that's what it's called, out of San Ysidro. Again, I'm probably butchering all those names, but it's the busiest border crossing in the world. We're a little nervous.
A lot nervous.
But we think it'll be okay. We're going Wednesday morning, and we already have our FMM stamped. We'll probably explain...
Not stamped,
printed. We'll probably explain everything that you need after we get through, just so we can explain the entire process to you. Mexico only. Last USA exit right there to the right. Woo! And we're going to Mexico. And it's official.
My hands are sweating.
It's a little different.
Oh, God.
Alright, maybe not this one, but that's fine. So we need to go right here. There's the big, oh, the flag's not up. Hopefully it's open. Step 1 is complete, no issues. We got our FMM stamped. You need it. It's basically your tourist visa to get into the country. And if you're going through the El Chaparro border crossing, you want to stay to the right and look for a blue building just like this.
It's got these little pillars in front of it and this awning thing that you park under.
Right, so as you come in, just stay to the right here. Then you come in through here. And I know the glare is really bad, but that's the building. And you go through and you go past the declaration spot, and there is a customs officer there who is pretty friendly, and you just hand them your passport and the FMM that you get online and you print out. Make sure you print out the receipt as well. You need the receipt. Don't forget that. And then
Through the second round of the border.
Yep, we did not get a Mexican vehicle permit because if you're staying on Baja itself, then you don't need one. If you go to the mainland, then you need to get a vehicle permit as well. Okay, off to the next checkpoint. Here we go. Here we go. All right, one down.
I think we are getting called in.
Yep. Hola.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Hola.
Descender y abre su puerta.
Open.
Open el vidor.
Sí.
done?
I don't know.
Finito? Maybe we should ask.
No, he said we're done.
Oh.
Disculpe. ¿Dónde? Just. Gracias. No way we're done already.
I think we are. Because that's airport, central, something, and...
Yeah, I think we're pretty much done. We're in Mexico. That was literally the easiest thing in the world. Literally the easiest.
So where do we have to register the vehicle?
We're done.
Oh, we don't have to do that? We don't have to show our registration or anything?
I guess not.
Okay.
We're in Mexico.
We are in Mexico.
That was the quickest thing ever. The easiest thing ever. It's a Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. They opened up the back doors, took a peek in.
Did you go through your tools?
Yeah, he wanted to look through our tools, the screwdrivers, and that was it. He was cool. He asked me where I'm from. I said New Jersey and New York. Just because New York's easy.
For people who aren't from...
Yeah. To familiarize. I wonder if I need to get over there. How do you feel?
I actually feel okay right now. I just want to get to our destination. Hopefully there are a lot of other RVs there. One thing that we did promise last night, and then we will hold him to it, is we're not camping anywhere where there's not other people. Safety first.
Until we get very comfortable, until we're fluent in Spanish, or not at all?
Not at all.
Fair enough. Safety in numbers.
For sure.
All right, we are in the town of Rosarito. We are high up.
Here we are.
This is like the PCH. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we made it to our first spot. We are officially living in Baja.
Yep.
We're at Clam RV Resort. We wanted a safe spot for the first night to get our bearings straight.
Well, we want a safe spot every night, but...
Really safe spot. So, time to check out the beach and hang out for the day.
hopefully get a suntan if it gets any warmer. Time to chill, have some breakfast, hang out, relax, read Baja blog. So before we get into any more of our Baja adventures, we are just going to take a quick break to give you some tips on crossing the border and to let you know some things we did to prepare so we felt more comfortable.
Alright, so if this is your first time coming to Baja, like it was for us, there's a couple things that you need to do. First is make sure you have an active passport and driver's license that's not expired, and then there's a couple documents that you need. The first and biggest one is your tourist visa, which is called your FMM. You can do this at the border, but to save time, you can do it online. And if you choose to do it online, don't forget to print your receipt because they will ask for it. They did for us, and we're so grateful that we printed it out too. You're also gonna need Mexican car insurance. So again, you can buy this online ahead of time, which is what we did. We went through Baja Bound, but I also heard that Discover Baja is also a good resource to get your car insurance. And our friends, Greg and Jess, they got Lewis & Lewis car insurance. We never heard of it, but they said it's good and reliable, so that's another option that you can go with. And lastly, you're going to want active vehicle registration and proof of ownership. We didn't have to prove any of this at the border. We only had to get our FMM stamped, but these documents are something you want to have just in case you get in a pinch, if you get pulled over or something like that.
As Kevin already said, you do need your passport and a license that is not going to expire. And another thing that we recommend doing is taking copies of both of those. You do not want to hand those documents over once you're in Mexico and away from the border, because sometimes they are used as leverage in bribes and things like that with cops and other Mexican officials. So it's just something to be aware of and something to have just in case that happens to you. One other thing that's different here in Mexico that is different from the US is they have military checkpoints. We were a little nervous about these checkpoints. We were told that people come into the van and kind of look through all of your belongings. However, one person has come in the van once for us. They are looking for drugs or guns. However, most of them just kind of let you slide by. And then obviously if they want to come in, you just allow them to come in. They'll look through a few things and then you get to move on.
You might be wondering what it's like to get gas in Baja, and it's pretty easy. There's big gas stations called Pemex, P-E-M-E-X, and that's where we basically get all of our diesel. And it's pretty expensive here in Mexico. It's like over $5.50 a gallon. So it's probably your biggest expense while you're here. But look for Pemexes when you're on the road, and make sure you fill up when you can, especially in Baja Norte, because as you're driving south, there's pretty big gaps between some of the Pemexes, and sometimes they run out of fuel. So make sure if you have a half tank, fill up when you can.
Essentially, every time you pass a Pemex, we recommend filling up just in case, because you never know when you're going to get to the next one.
All right, so there's pretty much one main spot where everyone gets their water in Mexico. You don't want to drink the tap water unless you're at a resort that tells you they have filtered water, then you can. For us, we go to aqua purificada stations, and some have a long enough hose where we could do a fill into our gravity fed intake right here. There are no pressure fill water stations in Mexico, so you will need a gravity fill intake. And we also bought a 6-gallon jerry can for additional fresh water that lets us just have more water while we're on the road, and that means less stops at the aqua purificada spots.
Which realistically, since we're on the beach 24/7, we still stop at aqua purificada pretty often, but this gives us a little bit more time, maybe like a day.
So some of the things that you want to bring into Baja that helps you get out of tough situations are traction pads if you get stuck, and a shovel. You'll definitely want these two things, in addition to a tire deflator, as well as an air compressor to fill up your tires if you get in a pinch and you get stuck. You also may want to consider tow straps just in case you're really stuck and you need someone to help you get out. You can get some tow straps on Amazon. That's where we got ours. Hopefully we won't have to use them. And if you have a Sprinter van and you have a diesel vehicle that requires DEF, consider grabbing an extra 2.5 gallons in the United States, because it is more expensive down here and it's harder to get. Not every store has them. We found them at an AutoZone, but they were only sold in 1-gallon jugs.
So these are a few of the items we purchased before coming into Baja, just so we had a little more information. We also downloaded offline Google Maps, and additionally we downloaded the Spanish to English dictionary to help us get around and communicate with the locals. Some of you are probably wondering what this is. This is a Garmin satellite phone. We purchased this just in case, God forbid, we ever got into a situation where we needed it. Luckily, we have not needed it. We've used it a few times to chat with family when we're off the grid, but we've never needed any type of SOS call. But if you do feel like you want to be extra prepared, this is a really useful little tool. Two other things that we purchased before we came down was an AT&T international SIM card. It's good for Canada, the US, and Mexico. So we purchased that prior to coming, and then once we got here, we stopped at the OXXO and purchased a Mexican SIM card. That way we would both have service on each of our phones while we're in the area. We do recommend the AT&T one, or you can just buy the Mexican one, which is a little bit cheaper. Either option is great, or if you're really feeling great, you can just go down with nothing and be completely off the grid.
The data plan in Mexico that we got is Telcel. They're pretty much everywhere in every OXXO. So Telcel is the brand of the SIM card that we have, and it's pretty easy to get.
And lastly, I said that I would answer a few of your questions that you guys had regarding crossing the border and coming to Mexico, so we're gonna hit on those right now. First question is, how glamorized is what we see? How much sucks behind the scenes? It's a little bit of both. I mean, it is pretty glamorous waking up on the beach. However, what people don't realize is finding camping spots, doing like your daily chores like refilling your water or going food shopping, I mean, it does sometimes take a little bit of time, especially if you have been camped out for a while, because you always have to pack everything up, and then you have to find a new camp spot or decide to come back. So, I mean, it's definitely not as glamorized as you see. There are parts of it that are a little bit tricky that you have to kind of work around your time, but it's a little bit of both.
And you have to worry about getting sand in your van, which Taylor is not a fan of.
Oh, God, I hate that.
So you might want to get a little brush or something that you could wipe your feet off before tracking sand into your van every single day, multiple times per day.
If you're Kevin all day, every day. Do you need 4x4? Do you need a 4x4 van in order to drive on the sand? No, our van is not four-wheel drive. However, there are spots on the beaches that you would be able to get to, which are more remote if you have 4x4. So the two-wheel drive does limit us a little. We pretty much stay mainly on the hard sand. That way we can ensure that we won't get stuck. However, if you do have 4x4, you'll be able to get to more remote places.
Yeah, I would just kind of reiterate, like, loose sand, absolutely you cannot with two-wheel drive. Mainly the dirt paths in the arroyos, which is basically like a dry river. You're fine with two-wheel drive, especially with good tires. If you air down and you have max treads, there's really nothing to worry about. But just get a shovel and kind of punch the ground and make sure it is nice and firm before you go exploring if you only have two-wheel drive.
We got 2 questions that said, did you feel unsafe at any time? And I would like to know if Taylor feels safe. Honestly, I have felt safe the entire time. The only times when I have not felt safe is just due to stories that we've heard. And that being said, we have never in Baja been put in a predicament where I feel unsafe. I think for solo women it may be a little different. Like, I have Kevin, obviously, but I think I would feel a little more unsafe just being by myself. But yeah, I mean, never been put in a situation where I feel unsafe yet. Do you recommend a certain time of the day to cross into Mexico? We crossed into Mexico early on a Wednesday morning and it went super smoothly. There was no lines. We got through probably within like 5 minutes. So, I mean, I guess I would recommend early on Wednesday morning. However, that's the only time we've ever crossed the border, so I don't really know if that's better or worse than other times during the week.
If you're asking me, I'd much rather go early in the morning because that gives you plenty of time to get to your camp spot. One thing you absolutely do not want to do in Baja is drive at night because there's cattle on the road, people without headlights, drunk drivers. It's really dangerous and absolutely not worth driving at night at all. So make sure you cross the border early. You have plenty of time to get to where you're sleeping and you'll be completely fine.
Another thing we did learn from Crystal and Jazz from Van Wives is that you want to kind of arrive at your camp spot like an hour before sunset at least. That way if you don't like it or if you feel uneasy about it, it gives you time to look for another space. So we try to do that as well. That way we can make sure that we feel safe at the camp spot that we're at. What sources do you use to find van-friendly Baja overnight parking and beach spots? And then someone else said how to find camping. We have primarily used iOverlander. It hasn't steered us wrong yet, so I think we'll continue to do so. However, we've also met several other van lifers while we've been down here, so we've kind of collaborated with them as to where to go next or where they liked to spend some time and that kind of stuff. So a little bit of iOverlander and a little bit of word of mouth. Another question we got is water supply. As we already mentioned, there is a whole bunch of aqua purificata down here, so finding water is not the issue. As long as you have a gravity fill, you should be absolutely fine. If you have a pressure fill, you will probably need to switch that over, but finding water is no issue at all. You do have to pay for aqua purificata down here. It is reasonably priced. We have about a 40-gallon tank with the extra, and it usually costs us anywhere from $4 to $5 or 100 to 120 pesos.
With tip.
With tip. Alright, so this wraps up our intro to Baja. If you guys have any further questions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section below. If you're not already subscribed, you might want to subscribe for this one because it's going to be good. And as always, thanks for watching.